All right, let's dive right in. Today we're talking about something huge, generative AI. And believe me, this is not just another buzzword. It is completely changing the game for anyone who builds for the web. We're really talking about a fundamental shift in how we create our digital world.
And that immediately brings up the big question, right? When you think about the websites of the future, who's actually building them? Is it going to be humans or AI? It's this constant tension between incredible promise on one side and some very real peril on the other. And today, we're going to unpack both.
So, first things first. We kind of have to reframe how we think about this. Let's stop seeing AI as just a tool and start seeing it as something new, a new kind of creative partner, a collaborator. Now, this technology didn't just appear out of thin air. The ideas started way back in the 50s, we got neural networks in the 80s, but the real spark, the explosion, that happened around 2012 with deep learning. A few years later, boom, massive models like GPT-3 show up, and suddenly, here we are today where AI can generate text, images, and even working code. The pace of this change is it's breathtaking.
So, just so we're all on the same page, what is generative AI? Well, at its heart, it's a type of machine learning that doesn't just analyze data, it creates new things. It learns from these absolutely massive datasets and then uses that knowledge to produce totally new content. Anything from text and images to, you guessed it, functional code.
Okay, so if this is our new partner, how does it actually change the work we do? That brings us to section 2, the automated workflow. This is where we see the promise of making everything faster, better, and a whole lot smoother. You know, the best way to think about it is like this. You've just hired a superpowered intern. This intern is brilliant, unbelievably fast, and can handle a mountain of work. But, and this part is absolutely key, it's still an intern. It needs your guidance. It needs your creative vision and your judgment to make sure the final result is actually any good. And this intern is already making huge waves. I mean, prototyping that used to take days can now be done in minutes. All that tedious documentation that nobody wants to write, poof, it's done automatically. AI can even help find bugs, build unique experiences for every user, and audit a site for accessibility. It's a massive productivity boost across the entire board.
Let's just make this super clear. Before, if you wanted to build a web prototype, you were looking at a multi-day slog of manual design and coding. Now, you literally just describe what you want in plain English, and you can get a working starting point in a matter of minutes. The job shifts from doing the grunt work to being the creative director.
But, of course, it's not all sunshine and perfectly automated code. With this much power and this much speed, well, there are some very real and sometimes hidden challenges that we have to face.
It all sounds almost too good to be true, doesn't it? Which, leads to that inevitable question. So, what's the catch?
Well, the concerns are pretty significant. Reliability and accuracy are a huge deal. These models can literally just make things up. They call it hallucinating, and they'll present it as fact. Then there's bias. If the data it trained on was biased, the AI will be too. And then you've got this whole mess of privacy, data security, and legal questions about who owns what. These aren't just minor issues. They are central to the whole thing.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. The experts in the field are being very clear about this. They say, and I'm quoting, ensuring generative systems are reliable, harmless, and honest poses challenges. That's a pretty frank admission that, we're still in the really early days of figuring all of this out.
So, if we know what the risks are, how do we navigate them? This isn't about stopping progress. No way. It's about moving forward smartly and responsibly, with our eyes wide open.
A responsible approach really needs a clear plan, and experts seem to agree on 4 key steps. First, start small. Pilot this stuff cautiously with low-risk projects. Second, make sure your teams are trained not just on what the tools can do, but also on their limitations. Third, you have to protect user data with crystal-clear policies. And finally, and this is the big one, the goal should always be to augment human creativity, not to replace it.
So what does this all mean for developers? Well, the role is evolving. The focus is shifting away from routine coding and implementation and moving toward more high-level work, things like creative strategy, AI governance, and big-picture design thinking. The job isn't disappearing, it's leveling up.
And all of this really points to one clear conclusion. The future of building the web, and probably a lot of other fields too, isn't about replacement at all. It's about collaboration. And in the real world, this partnership looks like a clear division of labor. For prototyping, the human sets the creative vision. The AI generates the initial options. For coding, the human solves the complex, tricky problems. The AI writes all the repetitive, boilerplate code. You see the pattern here? The human is the architect, and the AI is the incredibly efficient builder.
So we end up right back where we started, but with a whole new way of looking at it. The final question isn't human versus machine anymore. It's about the nature of the partnership. Is AI going to be our powerful co-pilot, or will it one day become the new architect? The answer to that is going to define how we build our future.